we're live, folks. Kind of. Back again. This is your host of Lit Literature, JP, aka The Demon, and we are here today to extend our discussion, finally, on the Mistborn universe.
Yes.
So Era 2, Book 1, or 0.5, I guess, depending on how you look at it.
Is this one officially Era 2? Or is this like
This is Era 2.
Okay,
officially
it is Era 2.
Alloy of Law. And this kind of kicks off the Wax and Wane trilogy, which comes after this book, actually.
So this wasn't part of the trilogy?
It was not. As a matter of fact, the story is unrelated. It started as a short story to kind of introduce the world and some of the characters. And the backstory that got so big, it turned into a book.
So the next 3 is prior to this?
No,
After.
it's after.
Oh, okay.
This was supposed to
I thought
be
you said
kind
a
of like
This was supposed to be kind of
you know,
one
like
of those
Lift's little mini story.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be that, I believe,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It was
From
supposed to
what
be
Jeff was
like a
telling me.
novella, like an in-between.
That explains why it moves at such a fast pace.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there an actual novella, though, that's supposed to take place between?
This was it.
Well, the secret histories.
Well, yeah, you're right. There's okay. So when to read secret histories, people, which we are going to do, folks, because we've gotten some comments on this.
Yeah. We had 4 different comments saying to read it at 4 different times.
Yeah. So the reality is that you can read a secret history in between Era 1 and Era 2, but there's kind of a tiny bit of a spoiler in it for Era 2. Okay. Not this book specifically, but through Bands of Mourning, which is the second book of this trilogy. The third one is yet to come out. It will come out sometime this year or next year with Skyward. So the way that it works is, I think Shadow of Self is next. That would be book 1 of the trilogy. Then Bands of the Morning is book 2 of the trilogy. And then whatever, I can't remember the title now, is book 3 of the trilogy, I think.
Wait, did you just say book 3 of the trilogy's not out yet?
It's not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got it drafted, I think. I'd have to look on his website again. I can't remember.
Okay, cool.
So,
I thought this one was fully done. Cool.
I kind of thought so too, but then I was looking more closely and it hasn't been released yet. And he's writing that and the Mistborn movie script and Skyward.
And it'll never get done because Sanderson is like really slow with writing.
So, but I think overall though, this was supposed to be one of those. So wait, back to Secret History. Sorry, I'm getting like ADD and, so a Secret History, you can read it in between, but there's a tiny bit of a spoiler into something that kind of emerges through, this era. So some people say if you want to be totally pure, if you want to be totally pure, you drink sake. No, if you want to be totally pure, you wait, and we'll read that after we get done with Bands of Mourning, before the 3rd and final book of the second Era trilogy comes out. And that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we should probably introduce ourselves, huh?
Yeah. Well, I would say so.
Yeah.
Sorry that was so long. So again, the Demon, round circle. Who wants to take the captain spot since he's not here?
I'll be the cherry. I am the cherry. I don't have to be the cherry.
And I am the director calling in for... I can't do it. I'm just the director.
Yeah. It's just so hard without the captain.
You can't do it without the captain. Only the captain.
Manny.
It was like,
Ben the Hitman.
Manny, Eam the Dream.
Okay.
So Eamy,
So dreamy.
Yes. So,
wait, cheers.
wait. All together. Okay. And we're back. All right. Did you just sneak one?
Yeah.
Okay. So where did we leave off? Okay, obviously we left off talking about the Secret Histories and the 11th Metal. The 11th Metal you can read at any time. It's a prequel to the Mistborn series about Kelsier finding out about the 11th Metal.
Ooh.
That's a shorter one, and it can be found in Arcanium Unbound. It's kind of a fun little read. We'll do that when we do Secret History after these. It'll be just fun to do them together.
In Arcanum Unbound?
They are, yeah. They're both in Arcanium Unbound.
That sounds fun. I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, it's
the
kind of
Kelsier one.
It'll be cool to read it for you guys after we get through Bands of Mourning, because then you'll be like, oh.
Is it the same? Is that the same book collection that had Edge Dancer in it?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. I already know.
Yeah. So, but
reminds me though.
Yeah,
Like,
I
we have to
love free
see
reading.
The other Mistborn in the original trilogy, who trained Kelsier.
oh yeah, exactly.
I always thought he might make a comeback at the end or something.
But he never did.
He
Yeah.
was just chilling, or dead. I don't know.
Well, he makes his appearance in the
11th
metal. Yeah.
The two extremes of Ben's mind. He's either chilling or dead.
So we will have fun with that, folks. So don't worry yet. And I was gonna say we were gonna release it, but we won't do it in this episode. What we'll do is we'll release it in a clip. In between, we'll do our draw for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So the poster, you guys entered your names into the poster, and most likely what I'll do is, since we're gonna record. I'm just losing it. You enter your names
Into the poster.
into Instagram, which will get you the poster. Hopefully.
It's like a Harry Potter book. Literature into the poster.
As long as we don't draw the director's name out, you guys will get it. So,
and I am entered, so just be aware of that.
So anyway,
I went so far as to follow us, like, and comment.
too funny. So there are 2 Instagram posts on there. So if you somehow manage to catch that, no, it's not happening. It's too late. If you heard it on this episode, it's too late.
Yeah, it's
We're
too
pulling
late.
it up.
Yeah.
So anyway, to this book. So this book was supposed to be a novella, but it extended, and I think it was a Hitman who mentioned that's maybe why it felt so fast.
Yeah.
That's absolutely why, because it just got too big. He was trying to condense it, but that's also why it's not a full Brandon Sanderson length book.
Right.
It's like a short book.
It is.
It's like 10 hours long.
Like a novella.
Because I listened to my audiobooks.
For Sanderson.
I listened to my audiobooks at 2x, and like basically I did one like listening session while I was working out, and I looked down and I'm like, I'm 80% done with this. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I wish all the books, well, not really. I kind of like that the books are long, but
So think of this as kind of a bonus, and
was
a
easy
bonus
to get
intro
through.
to the characters,
Yeah.
so to speak. So, and the world. I think the next book's a little bit, though, because I think you go from 10 to the more traditional 14-hour or
14,
so
15,
Mistborn length. I could be wrong, but
I saw that it was like
I guess
the
we'll
whole
find out.
all
I don't
3
remember.
books
yeah.
of Mistborn. Is
No,
like
no,
23
no.
hours. Yeah.
I think the last one was that much. We'll check anyway. But either way, they're shorter. It's kind of nice. It's fresh. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, I think most of you guys started like Monday.
Yeah. I got it done really quickly.
I was done like by Monday, and I was like really slow rolling. I waited a week, and
Bands of Mourning is
trolling like
14
a butt.
hours. Shadows of Self is 12, 13 hours. So
I guess they're all pretty short.
they're all pretty short.
Okay. I believe you. You are sometimes. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
excluding all the breath bets.
Yeah.
so let's get into this book. So first, I'm really curious because I was really wishing the captain would be on this, because it's the introductory to the Western side of the Mistborn universe. But let's go around real quick and talk about initial impressions of this book.
Really quick. Hero of Ages was 27 hours. So,
27.
So
Okay.
the first
So we're like
trilogy was
half.
definitely longer.
Yeah, we're like half the size.
But the second trilogy is
Watch though, his
all
next
shorter.
his third book in this trilogy is probably gonna make up-
142 hours.
It's gonna make up for everything that's going down.
First impressions, going through, I was very interested in kind of like the magic system. I really enjoyed kind of going through and getting little the adaptations of what actually happened into the religions, and kind of like the little ideas of like, oh, how these religions have grown over a really long time. I really like that. Also kind of like some of the mythology that developed around it. I thought that was such an awesome kind of like take, especially having read that other series recently, thinking back and been like, oh, they're referencing this. Probably one of my little favorite things that they put in there was the high chant, which was like the Spook's like super low brow like language, how he talked. Everything else was good. I like learning about kind of how the magic has changed a little bit. There are some things that I'm still really confused about. Looking forward to kind of getting more into it and hoping, like, especially after how the last one ends, like what's going to be kind of like a big baddie in this book series. Like it's Harmony is like the god. There aren't conflicting gods there or anything. So
Big baddie.
And that's actually a good question. We didn't really get to meet the bigger picture in this book because it was supposed to be a novella. It was only hinted at, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Director?
I mean, I liked it a lot. I like all of Sanderson's stuff. Unfortunately, because of my just god-awful memory, there were a lot of things that I think probably went over my head just because I don't remember them very clearly from the first one. Like I mean, we'll get to it, but like the ending, I was just like, oh my gosh, I know those names, but then I kind of forgot the details of each of them, like exactly how they fit into it. So then I had to talk to Jeff and be like, who are they again? But yeah, I wish.
Speaking of that ending,
yeah, I do much better when I can just like back to back a series. So I wish I had time to go back and read the first 3 again, just because I'm always distracted while I'm audiobooking that I get bits and pieces.
Doesn't it feel crazy? Because although I don't think it'll come off this way in the episodes, but we actually did the first trilogy. We released 2 of the books, and then we released and read live all of the fourth
Stormlight book,
Rhythm of War. And so, like, returning back to even edit book 3, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
First of all, the audio is terrible. Secondly, whoa. Secondly, wow. Whoa. This is what we really thought. And it was amazing because I was editing that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, boy. And I had read this book now. I had finished it when I was editing this, that third Mistborn book. And I'm like, oh, man, I was so far up. We were so, like... We were even guessing like what was going to come on, and I was being totally honest. I remembered like nothing from this series, so that was kind of cool. My gut reaction after the second time reading, but kind of forgetting most of it, except for like the feel of it, I actually really liked it, and I think I liked it the first time. I liked it this time. I don't know why, but I kind of liked the characters, and I liked the introduction to the world. I have kind of a soft spot for Western and noir type stuff, so maybe I'm going a little easy on it, but certainly it didn't feel like a standard Brandon Sanderson trilogy type thing, which now that I think when I first read it, I didn't know that it was a novella. I thought it was book 1, and I was confused by that, but I enjoyed it. Again, like you said, I love the evolution of things historically for a few hundred years. You've got things like Kolos-blooded people because of how Sazed changed things. You've got the religions, and now because you have Harmony instead of ruin and preservation, you could put an earring in and pray, and that's kind of like being connected to ruin in a way, which is all connected to Harmony now, which is kind of cool. I loved all that stuff. I really liked the way that they used the magic in a more modern area with technology. So they're like figuring out aluminum guns and bullets, and then they're also using like slight pushes to get like kind of force fields for guns. And...
There were also, as far as I know, it's also the first mention of petroleum, like oil, being used in the Cosmere, right? They mention here they kind of allude to cars
and batteries and electricity as well. And remember, this all goes back to the Lord Ruler having, essentially halted all progress in terms of anything for thousands of years. Right. So now they're in like this, essentially an industrial age, but you have an issue because the new issue is wherever the cities are obviously set up much better, and you've got these roughs kind of coming up. The last thing that I'll say, because I know we're going to talk about all this stuff in depth, but I loved the characters. Like I have a kind of a soft spot. I like Wayne a lot, and I don't know why, but I love the idea of we get without explanation. Just remember at the end of Mistborn, they don't know all the metals. And then we're right into this, and one of the main characters is using an alloy that did not exist at all in the Mistborn series.
Right.
It's just like regular, everyday stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So speaking of that, it's a really cool power as well. So come on, Manny. How much studying would you be doing back in school days? Just like in a speed bubble.
Imagine if Vin had that power, or had
If
that
Vin
metal.
had that, oh my
She had
God.
the power,
Yeah.
being a full element.
Can you
Imagine if she had the metal?
Can you imagine combining that power with Duralumin?
Oh my
It would
God! It
probably
just like stop time.
It would probably expand your bubble like 100 yards.
Ooh, or expand it. That'd be cool. Either way,
crazy.
whether it expands it or it, I think it'd be
You could
cool if it stopped.
Expand it, because then everyone's in the bubble with you moving at the same
Yeah,
speed.
which wouldn't be.
Oh yeah,
as
maybe
great.
it's different, longer.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think it would just be everything would be slower. Like it'd literally just be stopping time
For a
instead of
second.
like because he gets like a second in like
Yeah.
he gets a minute for like a second or something. Imagine it was just like all of a sudden for like a second is like 10, 20 minutes or an hour for you.
Well, not
As far as we know, do we have any idea if inside the bubble, time inside the bubble, like I know speed
just-
does, but does time move?
like
the same
what
way?
if
Like,
Wayne is
would
just
they
keep
age?
aging? Yeah, that's right. I don't know. We don't know that yet. What if he is like he's just
Slow-
aging?
He's like we'll find out later. He's like, well, I'm 37, and he looks like he's like 50.
50.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Who knows? I guess we'll find out. But anyway, those were my initial. I just kind of liked it. I liked the introduction. I'm glad it's there. So anyway, that was my opinion.
Yeah, I like this book. I don't think it was like his best book, but I enjoyed it a lot. It was like fast paced. It really got me into the action. It was a very different style than his other books. It's like Jeff was saying, it's like a Western detective story
Yeah.
that's built in not modern times, but more modern than any like fantasy I'm used to reading. But I really like the characters, Wax and Wayne. It's like fun. Wayne's super like energetic and funny to be around,
Yeah.
and he's just a crazy personality. Like, oh, I'm gonna trade you for that gun. Leave your picture.
Did you audiobook by chance?
Yeah.
Hitman. So I did love how Wayne talks in Lopin accent.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Which
God,
was
all
awesome.
His accents are amazing. He just like steals the accents.
Oh my gosh, yeah, how good he is at that.
Yeah, and I like the two female characters, Marcy and Stella. Stella's.
Sturris.
Stella's.
Yeah, Marcy or Mars. It's not Marcy. How
Well-
do you say? I forgot.
Or,
I
I thought it
audio.
was like Maricia.
Yeah.
Or,
We're not there. See, this is funny because I audiobooked, but
It's
again,
Marasi.
Alright, so
Josh was like, I'm not gonna try.
Yeah, because if I do that,
and
I
what?
don't know how to pronounce it.
But like she's like super lovable too, like
Yeah.
super smart, and like been told all life just to be quiet because she's a disappointment to the
Yeah.
family, and
A bastard.
embarrassment. And the other one's like super serious and like plans out all this stuff. Like I'm gonna write my thoughts down and writes out a 100-page contract.
yeah.
And I hate to
Dude, that
get
was
to
hilarious.
I hate to
Yeah.
get to the end so quickly. We don't have to talk about it, but I also really liked how throughout the whole thing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he needs to end up with this girl. Like this is the one. This is the one that obviously he's connected with. But then at the very end, I don't know, there was something about the other girl that I just started to like as well. Like as we got to know a little bit more about like what makes her kind of like as rigid as she is and how people just always act a certain way towards her. And I don't know. I felt like, oh, well, this could actually end up being the love that sneaks up on him potentially in the upcoming books. But we'll see.
It's so interesting. Oh, anyway, wait, listen. I want to hear the dreams.
So Amy, so sleepy.
So tell me how you love this book, Manny.
Oh.
And it's kind of one who.
So
won.
Manny hated it.
So,
So I
wanna
didn't
burn
love
it.
Aww.
It was a hard read for me in terms of motivating myself to kind of get through it.
Hence, almost not.
There was times when I was just like, I don't care. I don't know. I thought the main character was a little bit, like, not very interesting. I thought Wayne was a good, really interesting character, and
I liked Wax.
I don't know. I didn't get the feeling of a Sanderson book, and I just found it to be a little bit disappointing. But what I did like was that very, very end of the book when things kind of unravel and you're like, oh, okay, that was cool. But I don't know, for the majority of it, I thought it was just a little bit bland.
That's I'm glad you brought this feedback a little bit, because I feel differently, obviously, but I think part of it may be to the fact that we may tend to relate to different characters in different ways. And I feel like, Manny, you tend to relate to specific characters, like rich, specific characters, which this was a smaller story, and we didn't have a lot of the characters yet. And I feel like your gap maybe is the main character may not be your guy, so you're looking like who is the characters that are really going to help me carry through the story, because you got to care about the characters to get through the story, right?
Yeah, there aren't very many characters that you can love as much as a Venli.
Yeah.
You know?
So, but I'm really curious.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Miles was a great Bentley.
I'm really glad though, dude. I'm really glad that you decided to stick it out, because now I'm really curious as we get into the Era 2 trilogy, like what kind of stuff you'll be thinking and feeling as we go through it.
Yeah.
So that's,
I don't know. Like, even if you think about it, who the antagonist is in the book for this one, just seems really broken for me, and nothing really. I'm not able to understand them.
You could tell, and I think in this sense too. Again, you could tell that this was the novella like concept in between book, not really impacting the major story for that reason. Because I also felt like, although Miles, I feel, was in his own way kind of like a certain type of villain, and I don't want to say he wasn't like a rich villain, but you could tell he wasn't connected to the bigger picture at all. This was like, and I think that's the point of it. It was like a backstory, right? But I enjoyed it because, I mean, I could eat that shit up all day long, like that backstory stuff, and adding more color to some of the backstory. Like, if I think about going into the real first book one of the trilogy, I feel like having that backstory will make my experience richer. I hope, because of Miles and this weird cult and the whole, man, he was almost like Lord Ruler level in terms of healing status because of his compounding. But I think there's a lot of shit that may emerge there. But I do understand where Manny's coming from a little bit. Although I felt differently, I could see that. And I think browsing online, there's like a mix. There's like people who are like, Era 2, we're doing it just to do it kind of thing, and Era 1 all the way. And then there's people who just absolutely adore Era 2.
Well,
So
I think one thing that's that wasn't a big disappointment for me, but I thought was very different than a lot of his other series was this one. This is kind of the first time I think that I've seen in any of the Brandon Sanderson books where your main character literally is kind of jumping in, already being a proficient and amazing person with their powers. Like all the other series, like Vin, pretty much everyone in the Stormlight Archive, they're all like learning their powers with you, so you get to kind of learn the powers as they do. So you're just like more, I feel like, kind of more attached to that and like, excited about how the powers grow and how they learn and start to use it. Whereas
he's
Wax,
like next level badass.
he's already like one of probably the best like pushers out there. So it's not like you get this one character that you're latching onto that you're kind of like growing with and learning about the powers.
But I wonder if in the actual main 3 books, if we're going to find that they're not as developed as we think they are, or that maybe how good they think they are at their certain skills, something's going to come along to negate that, and they have to grow in different ways potentially.
Now, this is funny because after reading this book, I still don't even remember jack shit.
Oh, so it's like me with the first 3 books.
Yeah, so like
Even though we just read them.
I was saying that, and then I read this book, and it was like reading it for the first time with a few like kind of emotional memories, right? Like I remembered more about how I felt during the read than I did the actual story.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That
oh
makes
man.
sense. Yeah.
In the next books, I remember feeling kind of like this was good, but I can't remember if it's like they're growing or it's one or the other, right? Either they have to find new levels to grow, or the story has to grow so big that their badassery no longer fucking matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And so no matter what, if you got a trilogy, you can't have, I guess, end all be all without challenge, right? So
I did get the feeling that one thing that stuck out to me in this series is I felt like Sanderson was on a yin and yang kick, because we have like Wax and Wayne, and then we have Wax that's kind of like the center, the balance, and then we have Wayne that's kind of like the bad guy turned good, and then we have the bad guy that was the good guy turned bad. And I feel like almost everything in the book has like this mirror image element to it. And
that's cool. I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that a little bit, but he is. It's bad guy turned good and good guy turned bad.
And I wonder if subconsciously or maybe even consciously, if that contributed to Manny's kind of like dullness with it, because it's like, I already see where the mirror image is. It's like, oh, there's this element. Here's the mirror image of it. Here's the counterbalancing element. I don't know. But I think his opinion's bad.
Well,
Okay.
that's your opinion.
Which is a good one. I'm just kidding. I can see why you would think that. It's definitely got a different feel to it. It doesn't. I agree with you that it doesn't feel quite as Sanderson as all the other Sanderson stuff.
I might be a weirdo
a
too.
lot more to me straight Western. Like the magic, I think had a little bit, particularly in kind of like how he moved around. But a lot of the other characters didn't have that, so it felt very like kind of Western to me.
I actually
with just
really
a very
loved
little
that.
light sprinkling of the magic.
The thing that I loved about it is it did feel like the magic
Wild
system
West.
went into the background a little bit. And so then he's telling a story where the magic is literally just part of the world. And it's even funnier because, well, not funnier. I guess that's a stupid word to use in this case. It's even more interesting because
It's even interestinger.
yeah, interestinger. It's even interestinger. It's kind of cool though because apparently Sazed
Oh my god.
we lost him.
Oh no, he's back.
It's even cooler though because there's no Mistborns anymore. Like essentially, we know at the end of the book that there was at least one around, but everybody who came from him has like a lot of allomancy in their blood, but no longer do we seem to get Mistborns. But we do get something. We get the blending of the terrorist people back into the bloodline, which means you may not have more than one allomancy power, but you could combine it potentially with therochemy, which is so cool.
How many years later is this?
About
300 or 400? 300 or something?
300. See, that doesn't make it's interesting because from the time of the breaking in the first Mistborn series, when the allomantic powers went out, to which was like 1,000 years, and they were still Mistborn.
But if you remember, in the basement of the tower, wherever the Well of Ascension was, there was tons of jars that probably all contained those beads of metal that turned people into Mistborns. So that pool was huge to the original bloodlines. And then by that time, 1,000 years later, there was almost no Mistborns, and the two most powerful Mistborns both died.
Actually,
before.
3, because even the other Mistborn died
Spook.
too. Spook was the one that was turned into a Mistborn by Sazed. But when you go back, there was also the insane guy.
Oh yeah.
The insane guy was a Mistborn, but
Those 3 all died and didn't have any kids, as far as we know.
Wait, the insane guy wasn't a Mistborn because he had the spike.
no, he
No,
was
the
a
insane
Mistborn.
guy he's talking about is Ellen's brother, half brother.
Yeah, but
Ellen's
how did
half-brother.
Alan had a spike in him? I thought he got the Mistborn powers because it
No,
was through...
he had a spike, and so he was
Thorough
being manipulated by Ruin, but he was an actual Mistborn.
Yeah, he was a full Mistborn.
And
But Ellen and Vin died without any kids.
Yeah.
That guy might have had kids, we don't know. And then Spook, whatever he ended up with, we don't know either.
But I don't even think any of that matters, because I'm almost 99.9% positive Sazed just remade the world and eradicated Mistborns. And then eradicated the capability, and he just gave it to Spook. That's what I thought they kind of implied. And then, he's called whatever, Lord Mistborn? The Lord Mistborn now. And after that, nobody had it. It was all a single line of elements.
It's funny because I kept thinking at first when they kept talking about the Lord Mistborn, I was like, oh, they're either talking about Elend or they're talking about Kelsier. And then I'm like, oh, but really the only people who left was like the guys that came out of the ground. So a lot of them didn't know about it and they wouldn't have been like there when he was alive.
Well, and Sazed left a book, but then he also left all of the religions possible. And part of his desire is that, like, he won't force any specific religion on anyone.
Yeah.
And so you get a new version of the
Survivors.
the survivors, the new version of like those who worship harmony,
The Path.
the path. Then you have there's a whole religion based on the
Iron
Iron Eyes
Yeah.
too, and
Which I think we find out at the end of the book is
and Vin, too.
the Iron Eyes is actually what's his face?
It's Marsh.
Marsh.
We
Yeah,
found
and
that
he's
out. It's
alive.
crazy.
Yeah, which is really nuts that he's still walking around. At first, I was like, "This isn't right." And I was like,
Well, we know for sure that I guess we could go there right now. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, Jeffrey, let's go there.
Marsh
We
is
could go there.
back. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. But then I realized, like, you remember, they live a very, very long time. It's only been a few hundred years. And then now that Sazed has taken the power of Ruin,
He's not mind controlling
influencing
him.
him. So he's actually, Marsh is now essentially a tool for Sazed to influence the world. But because Sazed is both preservation and ruin together, he is hellbent on kind of striking balance and lightly touching the world. And so he'll just kind of, I asked like a little help, just little maneuvers. But Marsh is clearly a tool that he uses to,
do stuff.
push those little.
So I have one question that was kind of bugging me the entire book, and I don't understand.
Is this a question that you were like,
Yes.
I don't want to forget? Okay.
I don't know why Miles is so Miles has the exact same power as
the Lord Ruler.
as Wayne.
No, almost.
He
has half-
compounds.
But his compound, they talk about him eating copper, and
Gold.
he gets to see his past.
It's gold. No. So he could burn gold, and his therochemy power is gold. And when you could do both, you can actually infuse your health into the gold that you then burn, and you get 10 times or 10 or more hundreds of times the healing.
But no,
That's how the Lord Ruler was compounding, because he was a Mistborn and he had all of the therochemical powers. So when you combine any of them together, you could burn with your own
I
health.
don't think that's Josh's question, though. I think he's
what
talking
is
about
it?
the fact that he could see two versions of himself.
Yeah, so
That's
when he
gold.
That's gold.
But then how come he's
Yeah.
not? So he's healing. Why?
That's
so,
from the therochemy
That's from
yeah,
the
but he's
therochemy.
eating. So he's eating gold
to burn it.
and he's burning it, but that's not giving him health.
If he stores health in the gold that he burns, then it would give him health.
So for Philchemists, they store health in gold,
Yeah.
and then they can draw it out later, like wax. Wayne does.
Wayne, yeah.
And so, but instead of burning it that way, he stores it and then burns it.
So if you store health in gold and you can burn your own gold. Remember, Vin tried it. She tried to burn Sazed's stored pewter, and it didn't do anything. She felt the power, but she couldn't access it because it's only for Sazed and Thyrochemy. But because he was born with gold Thyrochemy and gold Elemancy, he could burn his stored health gold.
Well, one thing that I thought was weird then, if that's the case, he talks about at one point where he's like, he burned some gold, and he's like, and I saw the two, and he's like, it's an uncomfortable thing, and I don't like doing it. So he's not constantly burning gold. Or is he constantly burning gold and just not seeing the images then?
I think if he burns gold without his stored health, it's like burning.
But if he burns gold with the stored health, he doesn't get the elementic power.
Or he burned it, but once he burns it, I think it may have that healing trickle effect 10 or 100 times the standard effect of the healing.
It was stated that, that he always burns it, like, constantly.
Yeah, but it was weird because at one point he's like, oh, he burned it and he was able to see, and he's like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling.
That was what Jeff said. It was unenhanced gold. Just like a normal gold elemental would do.
I'm sure that the encyclopedias could help us on this one, but it's one of two things. It's either he's burning it basically slowly all the time, and it's giving him like infinite healing, or because he burned a gold with his own healing in there, it gives him elongated permanent healing for 10 or 100 times the amount of time that you would have healing factor if you were
Normally.
Wayne. And then he's not essentially... So he's not burning it anymore, but because he burned it, the effects are ongoing.
His powers seemed a little like...
That was a Lord Ruler thing.
Yeah, it's
Same
called
powers.
a Twinborn.
Yes, Twinborn. Gold Twinborn. Now, I did love the combination of Wax's powers, Waximilion's powers, because he's... I was thinking about this. Remember, we had all these conversations. First of all, we even had conversations in the Mistborn books, Era 1, where like, what if a pusher and a lurcher, what do they call it? Lurcher and a coin shot teamed up, and they were like, doing this. And it actually happened in this one. Yeah,
between.
like ping-ponging.
Yeah.
But then the cool thing about Wayne is weight isn't an issue because he can control it. He can make himself lighter and pull on a light thing.
Yeah.
Fly up.
Wax.
Wax, yeah. Or he could make himself super heavy, and that is a humongous advantage if you have either a push or a pull power.
Yeah,
I was like, holy cow, that's a pretty OP, a fun OP capability.
Yeah.
I mean, that idea that, like, you could, like, there were always, like, coin shots can, like, fly, and it's, like, some amazing, like, it's almost, like, double fold for him because he has the ability to reduce his weight, meaning it's just, like... And the amazing thing is it feels like reducing your weight, like, feels like all the other powers have, like, a negative. Like, you have to be really sick to get your health. Whereas, like, for him, the putting into it is literally the benefit.
Yeah.
Like, for
so
a lot of stuff. It's the opposite of everything else, where it's like, you have to go without your eyesight or, like, your senses for, like, a week to build it up, and where he is like, I'm just constantly building up because it's awesome running around at that third weight and just being able to just jump and do all this extra stuff.
And then it's like he could just make himself heavy again, or like what, and so it's super, super cool. I agree. That's a great win because you don't need to store any of that.
I remember Sazed thought the same thing, that what Josh said as a benefit, but he did some things like, oh wow, maybe storing weight, I should have stored more weight. Because it was super useful at one point for him.
Yeah.
Even Sazed, too, it was super useful. It was super useful when Sazed was holding the door.
The door. He just, like, creased his weight and just sat down.
Hold the door. And,
yeah.
Oh, no.
But, so we get into this, and...
Man, I wish I could store calories from one of those. Going on.
That's one
Portillo's
of them.
binge.
Did you see that? That's one of their powers.
Are you serious?
That is literally one of the medals, because they're 16 now.
Which medal and where do I buy it?
I'll tell you, it is... Because literally they say, like, these people can eat and they won't gain weight and the calories will go into the... their stored metal, and then they can go a week without eating.
That's amazing.
Because it stores energy.
Oh my gosh, I'd have like 4 pies tonight.
I'm just storing it for later.
Yeah. Don't look at me! Stop looking at me!
Oh, that's awesome. So, so to the story now. Well, actually, what time do we got? We could always. I agree.
15 minutes.
I agree with Hitman. You know, in terms of characters, maybe not as much Manny. I actually like Waximilian, but he reminded me of kind of like if you were to pick up a story and the main character was suddenly at Kelsier's level.
Right.
It wasn't like Josh said. It wasn't like picking up the person you're going to grow with. Although he grew, it wasn't really, he didn't really grow that much. He just got over, he just had to get over some of the shit that happened in his past. He's 42 years old. So Wax is not a young, spry chicken anymore.
Do you think that was...
Who wants to read about a 42-year-old too? Like,
Dude, we're...
Do you think that was...
about young nubile boys.
Do you think that was
he's
by
like wanting to get with a 20-year-old girl? Like, oh, gross.
He did, actually, he
Wait,
didn't,
what?
though. He didn't. He was actually super
He totally
respectful.
did
How old
want
is he?
to.
42.
I'd get with a
I mean, he's what he
21-year-old
tempted.
girl.
And he's like, this would have been... He's like, I would have been all over
Maybe
this
not.
If I was young.
years ago.
Yeah.
He was respectful in his, I thought he handled that
more
entire
respectful than I'd be.
I thought he handled it great.
I'd be like, 21, do you say? I'm just kidding.
But I thought he handled it well. But you know, he has his past, certainly his baggage, and you know, shooting. What was her name, by the way? His ex-fiance, or not his ex-fiance, his fiance or girlfriend that he ended up,
Killing?
killing by accident. I forgot her name now. It was something like very standard Western.
Yeah, I forget.
You know. Anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, I thought there was enough baggage that I actually liked the direction. Because I thought when I was reading this, I'm like, oh, Wayne says it, this says it. He's going to end up just going for the cousin who ends up being the half-sister. But instead he kind of like maintains his distance and maintains, for at least now, his composure
And
for
his,
the situation.
Commitment to the betrothal to a half-sister.
Yeah. Steris, right? Or something like
Steris.
that. Yeah. So, oh, come on, though.
Yeah.
Butler? The Butler scene? Dude,
Yeah.
I forgot. That totally caught me off guard. I was starting to like the Butler.
Yeah, he seemed like he was
The Butler just tried to blow him
yeah,
up.
he seemed like he was a very what's the dude from Batman? Like he was very Alfred.
Alfred.
Like,
Yeah, like he was just like, "Oh, come on, sir, you should put this behind you. Like it'll be better. Like you need to worry about the lives of all of your people." And then it's just like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you."
Aluminum will
So
come
here's
to
my
those that will
question
try.
about Miss Cloak. So this comes down to the Butler, and I brought it up because of the Butler. So in the very beginning, after we get through the past, where, you know, the lawman is coming into the city to take over. Lessie. Okay. Thank you, Manny.
No, I forgot we have the real fact checker here. Why did I
Good
even
for
waste
you.
time?
That's
Why did I try?
And so he comes in and he takes over and he goes out, you know, they're trying to marry him off or whatever, and he's like getting really bored with this city life. And so he goes out into the mist and he has a mist cloak. And mist cloaks,
Clopes.
yeah, mist cloaks were originally for
Mistborn.
Mistborns only.
That's for when you want it to be like cloping about.
Yeah, thank you.
When you want to cloak
you,
your actions.
when you want to cloak your actions. So my main question
You're like, I don't want to
was-
catch a clep, but I do want to catch a clope.
Palandoy, the speed one. If you're the Furochemi that is the of the Belandoy is the one that will let you store calories and energy.
Damn, so Wayne is
Belendoy?
burning it, but he can't because he's not thorochemy of it. But if he did the thorochemy, he could do the calories.
So he would have an unlimited food source. He would never need to eat. An unlimited energy source.
Amazon does not have any.
That actually sounds absolutely amazing, where you could just basically eat as much as physically possible, store all of the energy, just use enough to be cut, and then save it all for when you're in the middle of a desert.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Brett, why do you have 8 trucks full of just random metal?
Just like, this
Don't
is all
worry about
good
it.
to me.
Don't worry about
worry
it. Why
about it.
are you looking in my trucks?
Unfortunately,
Just like shamelessly buried in the backyard. Don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Piles of belladonna. Like,
I don't even care if I ever see this again. I'm
10,000
just trying
calories.
to store it.
Authorities are at high alert as the world supply of belladine has gone
it is.
missing.
Brad,
for pies.
Yeah.
But where was I with this? Oh yeah, so I was curious about that. Like, so the mist cloak tradition is still around, but it's obviously different. You no longer
Mist
have
duster.
it for being a Mistborn. His is a duster-esque, but
Yeah.
it depends on what era you're in, I'm sure. I can't wait till we get to the the computer programming era.
Yeah.
well,
He is one of the main
think
characters
also
gonna be
there's
a
like
computer
a lot of
programmer.
alluding to there being something with the mist
Yes.
and him liking the feel of the mist.
But
and
why is the mist
I don't know,
around?
there's definitely something going on there.
When this actually brings up perfect. We had a comment this morning which clarified some of our Mistborn conversations. So ATM, and I think Cherry, you might have even asked it, is ATM one of the metals? Because it seems like it's probably the body of Odium shouldn't be one of the metals. One of our fans commented, it is not. It is in fact outside of the 16 metals, and the mist is also outside of the 16 metals and is a metal. So ATM is special, and so is mist. 16 metals, I guess, do not include ATM. So
Aha, I knew it. I'm a brilliant mastermind. That is actually funny because I was just literally looking through this.
We need to
and
get
I didn't
Josh
even
a
think
mustache
ATM
to-
is not showing.
Stroke.
So the number 16 was still important, and they had 10 metals. Then they found 11, then 12, and we always thought ATM might be one of the others, and it isn't.
Isn't.
And so there was quite a
we
few
suck.
other metals that they found in between these two eras, which we will, I'm sure, be educated on in this next trilogy. So, but I did want to bring that up, and thank you. I think it was Dan something. One of the
Yeah.
Dan commented. Appreciate it, because that always helps clarify our. I mean, you know us. We don't necessarily look everything up. We depend on you.
Yeah.
to correct
We just
us.
wait to be corrected in the comments.
But we have fun talking about what might or could be.
Yeah.
As people who don't look shit up. So
We probably discussed it for like an hour and a half too, and then he's just like, nope.
yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
But that's okay. So that was kind of cool and interesting to know. And I think we even have a Brett bet open. Will ATM show up again?
I'm
did
definitely
have
not a
this.
part of that Brett bet though, so
Were you not in the original Mistborn series, Matty?
no, I was,
Now,
Oh,
the
that's
last
right.
book? Just the last or the last two?
No, he didn't come to any of
I
them.
didn't do
He
any of
read
them.
them and skipped them. Skipped
fool.
recording with us.
I think it's possible because the mist is still around, and so if Harmony wanted to, I think he could. Create
Will
something.
ATM be a thing anymore? Josh, yes. Ben, no. Brett, yes. Jeff, no.
I said no.
So who won?
We don't know yet.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, we don't know
spoilers.
yet.
I mean, I think it's
I
a
do know
possibility
it.
because it's up to Sazed.
But I would feel that because one of the actually there's not a balance anymore so that's a good thing or a good question because the mist was
Part of the body of
Exactly.
preservation.
whereas but that weakened her. No, she was weakened because she put a little bit more of preservation into humans than destruction or ruin.
And it was a he.
He did.
It was a short kind of bald guy.
Okay. So
Why'd you look at me after you said that?
I would think if
What a
there's-
jerk.
I know. He's just like, yeah, it was a short, bald guy. He did it with such gusto, too. He snapped to me like a fucking magnet.
I was actually looking at you for confirmation, but then I realized what I was saying.
I mean,
What
Jeff
a
has no good
douche.
place to look at the table.
No matter where he looks, somebody's screwed.
Yeah. But I think that Harmony could potentially put like part of himself out there. It would almost have to be an equal part. So if we do see ATM, we are going to see whatever the I think they're
balances.
called God medals.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna see the God medal of the root preservation side.
That'd be crazy. Mist is still around, so maybe there's just a little bit.
I did read this, and it's weird because it sounds like they are called God medals. So there's a 16 normal, and then there are God medals. And it said that in the original Mistborn trilogy, we did not ever get to see what Preservation's God medal is. So we definitely know Atium is the God medal of Ruin, and it allows its ferrochemical property is it allows the storage of life or age, and
Yes,
that's why
we found that
he
out.
could compound it. And when he compounded it, that would give him the eternal life.
Yep.
Essentially, that's
because
what Lord Ruler was doing.
he would do
He would
exactly-
invest into
yeah.
it, and then he would burn it.
And he also had gold, which was crazy too. So he was compounding health in terms of just healing factor.
Yep.
And he was compounding age. I mean, that's just
He could
that's
compound
pretty cool.
everything, strength,
Yeah.
whatever ferrochemy abilities that he had.
I do have to say, I'm a little excited that. Sorry to cut you off.
you're
but
fine.
I was just gonna say I'm a little excited because once we finally get like caught up on all of the Cosmere stuff that's currently out, I'm really looking forward to just going through and like fully reading all the wikis that are available and all these articles online. I've been avoiding them completely because I don't know exactly where the spoilers are going to come in and what information we haven't seen
Yeah,
yet. You know,
and actually that is a great point, is one of the reasons why, although there's great resources out there to learn about the Cosmere, we avoid it because we prefer to read and react live for you all and for us too. I mean,
One thing, this is actually at the end in the glossary.
We definitely love reacting live. That's probably the best part.
yeah.
I mean, what do you do? React dead?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't live, it wouldn't even be worth doing.
Yeah. Jeez, man. I will say at the end of this book, though, they had the glossary, and they actually go over all 16 metals for both allomancy and ferrochemy. And one of the things I think is going to possibly play a pretty important part in the Cosmere is one of the ferrochemy abilities is storing investure. And we learned in the Stormlight Archive, investure is what allows people to become immortal, essentially. So if you have that ability, could you essentially store investure into an item, your investure, and then essentially become immortal off of that?
or even well, actually, we had some commenters talk about that immortal, and
Yeah, they're not really immortal. They
actually died,
Yeah.
but they're essentially like
So
a copy
old.
of their soul.
Yeah, like their soul was so invested. That's
Yeah.
what they were kind of how they were describing it. That they just stayed.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's going to become a part of the Cosmere when they talk about one of the ferrochemical abilities is storing investure.
Wow.
Which
Well,
is really crazy. I want to see one of those characters show up.
Right. An investor could transcend worlds because it could be color or breaths or stormlight or metals or
I don't quite remember where investor comes from though. Like, what's its
any
source?
power from the original magic systems. They're all tied to investor, which I think it actually kind of comes from the original entity that made up the 16 shards that were in existence. Essentially the god, the real god that broke, and then mortals took up the shards.
Because I'm
Adonalsium or
I'm
I forgot now.
confused how that could be used though to like prolong life, because wouldn't that also drain life from you?
It's not used
Because
to
like strength is like if you have to be really weak for a while. So it's not
No,
like
that's
you can,
ferrochemy.
like,
That's
it's not like you can
ferrochemy.
be like dead for a while.
Yeah,
right?
it's weird. So
No, but you might go powerless. So let's say the way that it would work is if let's apply it to Stormlight magic system. If I could store investure, I would suck in Stormlight and then store it in one of my metals, similar to they do in spheres. And it would just stay there forever, and I could keep filling it and filling it and filling it indefinitely, and then I could draw on that investure for power whenever I needed to. So if you could store investure, and we're also an alchemist, or not an alchemist, if you're I was a thermochemist, but also
A radiant?
Allomancer.
Allomancer. Jesus.
I remembered a word, guys.
Jesus, I don't know what happened to me there. But then I could maybe at any time, instead of drinking metal, I could pull on that stored investure and use that ability.
Yeah.
And then
we'll have to read and see if that shows up somewhere.
if I was only a thorough chemist, though, I wonder how that would work. Because I would be storing a bunch of investure to do what?
Yeah.
If I didn't have another ability to use investure with, then it would be pointless.
But this is not what the Lord Ruler did, correct? He did a different
Well, the
thing,
Lord Ruler
right?
may have had them all, but we don't know what if he did anything with them. They didn't know.
Because they explained how he was able to. I forgot what it was, but didn't they explain how he was able to prolong his life?
Oh yeah,
he did something completely
he did the,
different.
the
right?
age.
Yeah, he was
the
normally
age.
that old man, so he was
The metal.
preserving like
age.
The god
his
metal.
age.
So it's called Nigrocell, and it stores investure. And what's really crazy is the opposite. That's the pole version, and then the opposite is chromium, which stores fortune. So they actually have people that can store luck. So
Okay,
they become
Matt from
super-
Cawthon.
they become super unlucky for a while, and then when they pull on it, they become extra lucky.
Dude, that would be unbelievable. I never read a book where I thought the power of luck was so potent until I was reading Wheel of Time, and Matrim Cawthon. He's one of the best characters, and his
like more powerful
luck
than
factor
like
was
everyone else.
so phenomenal. I was like, this actually, never mind. This might be one of the best powers in all.
Oh, I'd rather be lucky than maybe not. I don't know.
Well, he
luck
was
is a
skilled as
skill.
well. He was. He was.
So here, real quickly, are some of the
Deadpool
other ones
too.
that we didn't know about. Is there's cadmium, which stores breath, but it's what also what's the girl that slows time? So for allomancy, it's it slows time. For ferochemy, it stores breath, and then Bellandoy stores energy as
So by
ferochemy.
breath, it means soul.
No, they actually describe
Air.
it in the book that you literally have to be hyperventilating and you store your breath, and then you could go
that would
underwater
suck.
and not breathe
So okay.
the same amount of time.
That would actually be hugely advantageous in a world where an economy is built on allomancy. You're essentially a self-sufficient scuba diving person, right? So you could do like dives and
Oh my god.
Yeah.
weld. I'm sure in the future
What
you'd be able to
language is he
like
speaking?
weld metal. And,
So the other ones we already know: electrum and gold, duralinium. It's ferochemy.
is that duralumin?
Yeah, duralumin.
duralumin.
Yeah, sorry. That stores connection.
Duramillion.
Duralumin. That
Are we,
stores
sure,
connection.
that these are all spoiler free?
These are all in the
Duralumin,
end
we
of the
actually
book.
know
Okay.
that she was able to burn because Vin burned duralumin to gain strength of any other metal that you're burning.
It immediately. And then the other one is aluminium.
You said it. You said it like
Aluminium.
our,
I said it
our
like
UK
that.
You said it
friends
like
would
Johnny
love it.
Ive from Apple.
So,
Aluminium.
We have a
dude,
new
by the way, wait,
aluminium
before you go
case.
on to what aluminum does, which we actually talked quite a bit about aluminum in some of the other books because of what it does to all investure altogether. And that's why it's so important for this book because, you know, it's the metal you can't push or pull, you can't sense, that, you know, all this stuff. So, but also in the Stormlight, if you cage certain things around aluminum, you control them or nullify.
They
effects.
can't affect each other.
Right.
Spread.
So, but anyway, so it's clearly a potent metal throughout the Cosmere. But I love it because we have a few fans from different areas of the world, and the comment I remember the comment on it was like, I keep listening to the part where you guys say aluminum all the time, and I can't.
Well, it's so funny hearing someone else talk about the
Aluminium?
from Europe talking aluminium.
Aluminium.
But you said it in that way naturally.
Well, yeah, because I've been listening to.
Well, see, now you're just giving them more fucking fodder to be able to be like, see, that's the way it should be. America.
It stores identity. And what's really
That's
crazy.
really weird.
Yep, and the opposite.
So like I could give it all, like hide it all, and then you'll be like, "Who is this guy sitting in this chair?"
Exactly. What it does is it
Whoa.
stores people's ability. People don't recognize you. So what's really crazy though is Duralum.
Duralumin.
It stores connections. So what you can do is you can, when you use it, it makes it where people will more readily befriend you.
Wow.
Which is
We're like
really-
connecting right
so
now.
do you guys think? I don't know how this all fits together, but is there any chance that that Wayne has like a secret ability with that metal? Because
He's already twin-born. So we already know his 2 factors.
But what if there's 3?
Then he would be a Mistborn.
But the other thing, though, is we don't know, and I'm
true.
assuming it acts the same, but Furochemi, in all the other ones, it was all or nothing. It's very different that now you can get one, but is it...
But then
is it
Sazed remade it.
But
He
is it
remade
that
how
same
it works.
rule that he made where you can't... If you get one, you only get one. If you
So-
have more than one, you get all.
You guys remember the danger was always in whether if you had all of one or all of the other, all the power that you could really have with having that. So instead, I think the balance when Sazed remade the entire world or that particular solar system, so to speak, I think what he did is he said you could have 1 and 1. And they can
See,
mix,
but that's weird, though,
you can't
because
have
why
more.
then did he make Spook Mistborn?
Just to give Spook something a little
And he
bonus.
liked him.
Just the very last one. So everyone that every kid of his, it's not like any of them were Mistborn. Every single
But they all
one
are
got
really
one.
potent. So like nowadays, it seems like in a line of Elemencies, in a line of Elementers, oh my god, the blood is strong with Spook. So like the
blood is
Force,
strong with this one.
like the Force, you can gain strength. You're gonna get Elemency, but you may or may not.
It's over, Spook.
Get the Thoroughchemy.
I have
You
the
have to
high
have
ground.
the what's it called? Terrasmin blood.
Furochemi. Yeah, Terrasman.
So
That
Sorry,
doesn't
I
even
did.
sound familiar to me.
says it.
Terrace?
Terrasmin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Terrace.
yeah.
So I think he fixed that balance specifically to avoid ever
Another
having
Lord
Lord
Ruler.
Ruler. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. We start to see a lot of overlap with the magic systems and what they're capable of doing and what the abilities are with storing connections and identity and bonds
Yes.
and bondsmith. And
I know, right? And now you're starting to understand what might be tying the Cosmere together.
The push and the pull.
Like
that's
all this crazy stuff. And now you're realizing too, the other thing that I kept thinking about is like the weight and this and the push and the pull having to do with gravity and how gravity is impacted in the stormlight. And it's, it's just really cool. So you're starting to see more of this emerge. I bet, the more Cosmere books we get, we'll see more and more of the systems kind of emerge and you'll see the connections more readily. Whereas if they seem like independent, completely separate magic systems over time, we may see more and more of that. That's pretty cool. Hey, all right. I think it's probably time for a break. Time for episode 1, part 1. Actually, wait. We're going discussion.
Discussion one.
Nowadays.
Chat
We're gonna go
one.
Chat 1. We might as well take a break. Let this be our intro to this book, Alloy of Law, and we will go into next episode. We have to talk about the actual bloody story, which we haven't talked about at all. So next episode will be focused on the story, not the world, and not our surprise and reaction to all the craziness that's happened since did they give that day a name? I can't remember that.
No, they don't. But I
That
remember
massive
them
war at the end. There
yeah.
has to be like a call for it, like a
probably is. Just haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
They did talk about.
recreants.
They did
or
talk
whatever,
about the back when the people crawled from the earth, and that was when they all came out of the cave system
Yeah.
after.
Well, the nice thing is like Sazed made all the little areas where they crawled out into perfect areas with fully functioning like horticulture and like great areas
Natural
for
areas.
survivability. So that was a bonus.
Nice. Sounds good.
Also, to this day, you still cannot have a plant as decor or landscaping if it does not bear fruit for people, if it does not feed people.
Yeah, that's one of
Hence
the
the
things. they
decorative
said.
apple trees and the front of the mansion. All right. Guys, this was fun. I'm excited to talk about the story, and I'm really excited to find out what Manny thought about certain story aspects. Cheers!